Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do Kelly Jones's The Hammer, The Outsider, issue number 1 of 3 from Dark Horse. So yeah, this is volume 2, if you can call it that, from the first Hammer series that I actually like. Well, the reason that I bought this comic is more like Kelly Jones. I'm a big Kelly Jones fan. I like his art very much. But The Hammer is a very odd comic. I love the horror aspect here and the supernatural stuff. The Hammer itself is basically a very odd character, in my opinion. So if you want to know who the Hammer is, I would suggest to check out my other videos with Kelly Jones the Hammer in it, and subscribe to my channel if you like what you're seeing. It would help me a lot. I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Anyway, so we go here and we start here at, somewhere, and this guy's getting his eye poked out. And he says, "I'm trying, please. They won't let me talk. I apologize for the pain, but to break the spell of silence, I must do this. I still can't tell you what you want. All I know is what we was to kidnap some white dude for them. Yes, and I can see you are honestly trying to find, honestly trying. Your friend tried equally as hard." And he says, "I removed most of his flesh before he died, and I still couldn't break the spell. I hoped I'd do better with you." So he says, "I shall redouble my efforts. They have woven the incantation deeply in your tissue. Perhaps if I remove your face, you will be able to speak." It seems I am forced to continue. So this guy is all screaming, right? Meanwhile, we go to Miskatonic University. So it seems, but I could be wrong, that this is the same village where the supernatural showed up in the last volume, but I can't remember anymore. And these people are knowing the Hammer, or this professor, and the Hammer is this alien entity that is attached to his head. And nobody basically bats an eye because the whole weird supernatural thing is normal in this, town, I guess. So this guy is complaining about white people. And so race is a thing, and I thought, where's this going, right? So I'm just going to ask this guy what I need to know and just get out of here. So the professor, also known as the Hammer, is talking about the, Cthulhu, and that people believed in him and where he came from. So which pretty interesting in my opinion, because I love the Cthulhu mythos, and that, that somebody carved this statue here, and although it's more than 27,000 years old, which race may concern that people are just still, are on the influence of, chaos magic or supernatural, and then still it seems that Cthulhu has some power in this world still today, right? So this guy comes in and he says, "Hey, Professor Wilcox and Russell Boone, may I have a word with you? Come with me," he says. So yeah, the Hammer is pretty direct. So meanwhile, somewhere else in St. Augustine, Florida, this guy is, being held against his will. And he says, "Hey man, I do whatever you want, just don't hurt me." And he says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. In fact, you are to be honored." So I thought, dude, what's going on here? And then he's sucking his soul, but no, it's actually the other way around. Looks great, man, like he's being possessed. And in fact, he is, because it seems that whatever who was in this body is now transferred his essence into this new body. And this guy says, "Hey, what's going on? These aren't on my hands." So, oh no, I was wrong. So it seems that they did a switcheroo, right? So he is in this body and the other way around. And be quiet. You will remember that the screams of 1,000 years. These hands have wrought more evil than what lifetime could allow. What did you do? You do have a right to know, since we are taking your body. But then we have a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So this woman says, "It is difficult to remember all that has happened in 10 centuries. So much blood and terror. We performed the incantation of the generations, the spell that one time cannot begin to fulfill." So she says, "From body to body, age to age, We cast the great spell. We do not know why we do what we do. We only know that we must. You know as much as we. Now go. Okay, so just let him go, right? And so I don't know what they're doing, but maybe we're gonna find out in the next book. But because it's not getting explained here, maybe because he's an old guy and aging slow, and he did some terrible. He's lived for thousands of years. I could be wrong, right? Meanwhile, we go back to the professor, and this looks creepy as hell. And he says, "I work for the Southern Legal Center. We focus on cases dealing with hate crimes." So the Hammer doesn't know what a hate crime is, so he asks that. He says, "They are offenses committed solely on the basis of race, sexual preference, or religious bias. They are crimes of bigotry." Are we doing modern comics here? This is a book from the 1990s, end of the, begin 2000, but still 90s comic. So what's happening here, right? Anyway, so he says, "I'm still don't sure I understand the meaning." Well, perhaps this file will help you understand. So he sees some photos, and there's some stuff in here that could be disturbing. The symbols were drawn in the victim's own blood, both blackmails, skin prior to death. No one knows what the symbols stand for. People tell me you're an expert in these things. Yes, I am. You've seen this kind of brutality before. This kind of evil exists everywhere. Most just fail to see it. So what do you think? These aren't hate crimes as you define them. These aren't even murders in the strictest sense of the word. These victims were involved into ritualistic occult activity, as was the killer. How do you know? These symbols are ancient in context and very sophisticated. Few humans know them, which indicates involves occult knowledge. Also, a lot of skill went into creating these wounds. This isn't child's play. You sound impressed. Well, you asked for my opinion. I love his dry sense of answering. And he says, "Whoever is responsible here is extremely dangerous. That always commands respect." So what do you think? Some occult serial killer? Well, he says, no, there's no killer. There's reason, purpose behind this crime. All right. I like it. So, and he also eats a lot because, I don't know, this thing on his head demands a lot of energy, so he's just eating a lot. So this guy says, "I think there's another thing at work here. Racism." I thought, no, here we go. "I don't see how you arrived to this conclusion. Explain, please. As a white man, you've never been on the receiving end of prejudice." Well, I have. I was in Japan years ago, and I was, let's say people are a little xenophobic there, and I have experienced racism, although not that I find really offended, but I experienced it. So that was new to me. It's not fun, actually, but it's not something that I need to be offended. I'm a visitor in their country, so I don't know. Not everyone in Japan are open to foreigners, so that's what it is. I have, as long as I can remember, I have. I always been on the outside looking in. I used to work for the FBI, and after I was passed up for promotion, I gave up believing that things would ever change, and I quit. I joined the center of them as an investigator. So anytime I see a crime committed against a minority member, I smell a rat. So that's a lot of bias in here because he, had some hardship because of his skin color, right? And maybe that's true. But then, every time, so basically, if every black person is getting, picked up by the cops or getting killed or murdered by a white person, that must be, according to this guy, is because of racism, which is, of course, not always the case because, in the real world, black on black crime is the highest crime in America. I mean, that's what I've read. But then again, he has also tried, cry racism, and then he says he's a white person committing, something, a deed against a black person. Therefore, it must be racism, which is, of course, BS. All right. The only connection I see is a bunch of racists following these nut hero. They're not hero. I think these murders are linked to one accident in Ohio. So it seems that he said there's an old guy walking on the street naked, and he was covered in blood. And then the police picked up his address, and it seems that he is, there's some murders going on there. And it seems that this guy was a former Nazi called Oscar Hodze. He's a former SS officer. But then he claimed his name was Jennifer Holly, a local missing girl. He was deported to Israel. I want my mommy. I don't know why a former Nazi German officer is being deported to Israel. Why not deport him back to, I don't know, Germany? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, and he says, "Mommy, I want my mommy." And so these guys doesn't believe him because they think he's insane, and he's being hanged for that. And like every racist, he was a coward, and he died screaming that pathetic lie. Then Hammer says, "A little girl was hanged that day. She was telling the truth. She was sealed in this old man's body." So the Hammer says to him, "So you base your professional outlook on your personal experience." You got him there. It's all I got, and it makes sense to me. Yeah, well, you're wrong, dude. Because the world is far older than you know, and filled with the unknown and the unknowable. And so they talk more about the supernatural, right? And so the Hammer just agrees to help him with his case. Then a guy walks down the street here, and he's calling for a lift. And he says, "Hey, what's the matter? I need your truck. Our mutual fates depend on my ability to retrieve the Archimedes harmonic. Walking is far too slow. You're nuts. Get out of the road. You don't care about the danger you're in. Does my plight not concern you? I cannot let you into indifference. Stop me. I hope you understand." So that doesn't make any sense. So he says, "Hey, you are in danger," and then he kills him. And meanwhile, in this, I don't know, mansion, the ritual is performed by these guys, that we saw earlier. And this, whatever this is saying, "The sleeper awaits. His cold blood begins to flow. The final words must be spoken from the steps on his great house. Call him up from the depths." Then the final spell is called for. "Our incantation has led us down the centuries to this. The end and the beginning are at hand. Then finally we may see what our will was wrought." Okay, so I wonder if these guys are involved with this guy, which is, I think, this guy, I guess. Meanwhile, we go back to our friends here. Anyway, so they have some small talk, right? And speaking of which, did they trouble you about your condition? At Miskatonic, I'm considered fairly normal. Okay, so like I said before, these people are in this place are not very biased or bigots against Mr. Hammer here. And so, like I says, a VW bus, how do you say that? VW? Volkswagen. Yeah, a Volkswagen bus. You are a leftover from the 60s. The glove department holds more chocolate bars than the other vans. Like I said, he likes to eat a lot. So then this guy comes with the gas station. So this guy says, "Hey, I don't have any money, but it would be great if you just fill up the gas for me, right?" And but this guy says, not working. He says, "Are you crazy? I am unable to accept your refusal to assist me. I won't be stopped by a lack of fuel or your greed. And I won't be stopped by this wretched cold weather. I need your coat as well." And he also cut off his head. Meanwhile, they go, have some small talk in the Volkswagen bus. And for a guy who teaches ancient Semitic languages, you seem to know a lot about voodoo. What gives? You ask a lot of questions. It's my job. The supernatural surround us like stars in daylight, invisible, but there. Well, stars come out at night, and I can see them. I still haven't seen any ghost. Have you looked? Like I said, he's very stoic and pragmatic, and He's a weird guy, I must say that. And so this guy is also confirming that I heard you have firm opinions and you stick to them. The people I ask about you have a great deal of respect to you. But I'll be honest, they also seem scared spitless of you at the same time. Ah, you have spoken to Carl and Alex. Now, who are Carl and Alex? I believe these were the guys that helped the Hammer in the, volume 1, defeating the evil. I wanted to know something about you before we spoke. Now, why do you think they are so afraid of you? As with you, they were unconvinced of the existence of outside forces. I simply educated them by proving otherwise. It seems to me they're more afraid of getting in your way. Yes, I could see the possible justification for that opinion. Oh, my favorite Dairy Queen is just ahead. Just like, this guy's so dry. Anyway, so this demon guy said, hey, I want to know locate a house nearby. So this guy says, hey, you're nuts, get off my land. Am I always be met by fools? Is no one in this world willing to see the danger facing it? It's just killing him. It makes no sense why you're killing these people. And then we have some kind of a story what happens, with the supernatural. So the supernatural stuff you see everywhere or what? So he says there's a paper about this Kansas butcher, Paxton, gets the death penalty. So he says Paxton's father saw something shining and went in his plowing fields. Something evil. Something that consumed and became John Paxton. Then it consumed and became his wife and his daughter. Then it came for Ken Paxton. Join me. So Ken is running away. Somehow Ken knew this wasn't his family anymore. He also knew that no one would believe him. He killed him with his father's gun. He burned the bodies to guarantee its death. Then he called the police and told them he'd done what he had to do. So why didn't you help him? Tell the authorities. The boy was correct in the assumption that he wouldn't be believed. I just exposed myself needlessly. Many sit in your prisons doing what he did, knowing what I know. Damn, this is so, wow. So they are getting to his house and he says, hey, this is my house, but I didn't, left the lights on, right? So he just bursts in and he says, Dad? Samantha? He says, Daddy. He says, what's wrong with your head? It's a benign tumor. I am fine. So she says, hey, I'm Samantha. And she says, my name is Russell Boom. I'm a consulting guy working on a case. And then she says, hey, what are you doing here? And she says that she's coming from the airport and no one would pick it up. So she was driving to to his homes and, was also talking about the divorce. And this guy was never be the same, and it was probably before he got this leech up on his head. And she said, well, you always eat so bad. So I threw all this bad stuff and get you some health food. And he says, no, not my Twinkies. I really wanted one. That was funny. And then, so this demon guy says, the time has come. What I seek is here, and none shall bar my way. But then behind him, it seems we are not alone in our quest. It's of no matter. Let no one stand in our way. So, two evil forces seeking something? That is interesting. And that leads us to issue number 2, which have a great cover, by the way. So yeah, more Kelly Jones the Hammer. I'm enjoying that, but because more like the weirdness and the very dark tone it has. Yeah, it's right up my alley. Guys, let me know what you think about this. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.